once again, for those that I didn't welcome yet, welcome. um, we'll have 60 minutes. So even though the invitation considers 75, we have some buffer, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to handle that in 60 minutes. And I hope you have a good time. We're gonna have some interactions throughout the presentation. So if you can get ready with your cell phone, we're gonna use it for 2 or 3 questions and interaction throughout the call. Camilo is here with us, and also some people from our team. Thank you, Camilo, for handling the presentation. We can get started. Let's jump to the agenda. Yeah, so probably we have some delay because I don't see that yet here, but okay, just a minute. Just checking if that's my computer or what is happening. Just see the cover still. So try to, um, yeah, you need to present like normally your entire screen, not only that happens with me sometimes when I'm presenting on Canva as well. So just a minute. All right, thank you. Today's agenda, we're gonna cover 4 main topics with 4 different speakers. I'm the one starting, so nice to meet you all. Um, Rafael Trajkowski, uh, s- and then I'll provide you a co-manufacturing market overview. We gather a lot of information from through either platforms and external sources, and we consolidated that today to bring out to you. Guillermo, who also works with us, will be talking about the main challenges in the contract manufacturing market. Alejandro put together a very comprehensive set of slides on trends and opportunities in the contract manufacturing market. And we have a special guest today. I saw that Jim is already here. Thank you, Jim, for accepting the invitation. He's the vice president for sales and marketing at Impact Fulfillment Services. And he will be talking to us today about simplified packaging supply chain. So really looking forward to that. So we're gonna start with a very quick interaction, a poll. So if you have your cell phones ready, okay, the problem persists that oh yeah, just a small delay. So we want to know how you call contract manufacturing in your company. So if you can just like uh, put your camera to the QR code here, you're gonna go to menti.com. So there will be just some space so you can type how you call contract manufacturing in your company because we see co-manufacturing, we've seen external manufacturing, 3 p.m. So if you can just try it with us, and then we're gonna see if we have a common ground here on what companies call contract manufacturing. I'll leave you a few seconds. Yeah, kind of will pull the results in a minute. Okay, interesting. Troubleshooter, bro, is very good. Co-manufacturing, external manufacturing, repack, façonnes, yeah, right. And in Spanish, we hear that a lot. Co-packing. Okay, good. Th- There are some that I don't see here, like that I already saw, like people calling it. So external manufacturing seems to be a big one. Also, collaborative manufacturing. We've seen some companies calling that. Okay, very good. Yeah, Camilo, if we can get back to the presentation. So thank you all for. Okay, we'll keep seeing the results. 26 already, very good. We can go back to the presentation. And that's one thing that I would like to start with. So for this session, we are gonna have sometimes we're gonna call contract manufacturing only, like when industries outsource production to other industries, and private label, well, the name says itself, when retailers outsource production. Okay, so even though contract manufacturing, we understand, can be the big umbrella where private label can be within it. For the sake of the presentation, contract manufacturing will be industry to industry and private label retail to industry. We're going to cover like two parts here. One is market size, uh, just very briefly, some figures, and then the other, we're going to bring information about new product development. I mean, within the market overview that I'll provide. Both global Americas. Also important to remember that we are talking about contract manufacturing in the CPG field, so consumer packaged goods, right? So if you are here from another segment category, well, you're gonna listen insights about the CPG market. Okay, awesome. So the CPG market is a trillionary market. As you probably know, you're gonna find different figures, right? It depends on what categories you are considering in your analysis. Here we are considering food and beverage, including alcoholic beverages, beauty and personal care and household. So we are considering a 5.3 trillion dollars, led mainly by this big region that we are calling here EMEA, so Africa, Middle East, and Asia. But of course, when we get to North America, is definitely where we have the most consolidated market in terms of CPG, and you probably know it. And you're going to see that Latam, for instance, accounts for only 3.5, but it depends heavily on the category. Okay, so if we see just some example like biscuits, that is probably the only way to eat biscuit is like as a consumer packed good. Of course, you can bake it, but then we have more consistency among the regions. But when it comes to beauty and personal care, or even household, home, laundry care, these kind of things, we have a huge discrepancy between the regions. Okay, that's the main driver of the difference. Awesome. Also, one thing very important to understand within the contract manufacturing market, you know that private label plays the biggest role here, even though, of course, we probably have here a lot of industries that outsource production as well. Private label is definitely the main driver of this market. We're going to cover mostly contract manufacturing and not private label. But just for us to understand this difference, like North America, 14% of the CPG market comes from, I mean, the revenue comes from private label goods, whether in Western Europe, nearly 40%, in Latin America, only 2.3. And you're gonna see those differences everywhere in the presentation. How big the difference between, especially North America and Latin America is because of mainly because of private label. Good. Thinking about categories, as you probably know, here we are not counting only contract manufacturing or private label categories, but CPG categories as a whole. Also important to remember especially the top five here, the processed meat, beer, soft drinks, snack, spirits, because of course the contract manufacturing size of the market is not the same of the of each category, and also the pace of new product developments and how those categories are bringing, of course, new products to the market is different. And probably when we talk about contract manufacturing, the pace of NPD launches is something very important. Great. Um, well, as you probably know, in Americas, the biggest market for contract manufacturing is definitely the US, right? Because of course they have the highest CPG market in the region as well. And here we brought a little bit of a research that we found, that we also gathered some information. Most of the contract manufacturers in the US, they are located in Midwest, but we've seen, and Alejandro will cover that in a few minutes, an increase, especially around imports and exports of external manufacturing. So like Canada is here, Mexico, they help to fulfill the needs of contract manufacturing in Americas. Also, one like we have here the regular size of the plants, so 107,000 square feet. And most of the contract manufacturers, they are single operation location, meaning that they only have one production facility. Great. Yeah. Now, from market size, we change a little bit to new product development because we understand that for contract manufacturing, that's really important. So, in the pace of NPD in Americas, the US accounts for nearly half of every new product that is launched in the region. If we take an average of the last 3 years, the US has launched 100, sorry, 1100 of new products per year. If we take the average from 2020 to 2022, so the last 3 years. And then Canada comes second, Brazil, and Mexico. Okay. And then we have here the other countries as well. So I said at the beginning that we're going to differentiate in this presentation between contract manufacturing, like industry to industry mostly, and private label. Also in contract manufacturing, we are considering like the digital brands that they do. Of course, they outsource as well, so direct to consumer brands. And when we get the contract manufacturing market as a whole, private label in Americas normally represents 86% of this market. Even with different market sizes, we have different countries. The proportion is more or less the same. So here you can see like the four biggest markets and their division between private label and contract manufacturing. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Camilo. Remember that we saw that probably the biggest category in CPG is processed meat, but that's not the category that leads NPDs on an annual basis. So here we have, when we gather information from Mintel, for instance, we see that snacks, bakery products, sauce and condiments, or the top three categories for new product developments. Also by country, you can see that in the US, for instance, um, sauces and condiments have been a very important driver for NPDs, while in Brazil, we have bakery products leading NPDs. And also by companies. So companies that are launching most NPDs on an annual basis. Here we have in the top five, Danone, General Mills, Nestle, PepsiCo, and McCormick. And especially those they are far away. I mean, uh, far ahead of other players, as you can see. Good. So just to summarize a little bit of the contract manufacturing market outlook, the U.S. is by far the most mature market in Americas. However, if we would compare globally, Europe would be the number one most mature market for contract manufacturing because of private label, since they have 40% of their consumer packaged goods coming from private label. However, both players are very important for this market, like the brands, but also the private label, the retailers, because one can bring high standards in terms of safety, quality, and the other, especially the retail, they bring the volume. So both need to be together to create a sustainable ecosystem for contract manufacturing. Uh, Also, as we saw, respecting the proportions, 80% of the contract manufacturing market normally comes from private label. Also, where NPDs or booming in what categories we saw, of course, snacks leading it. And one information that I didn't share, but also that we found in our researches, is that most of the contract manufacturers, they are backed by private equity firms. So as the big industries, they have pressure from their shareholders. The contract manufacturers, they also have pressure from their shareholders from the private equity. Okay, so now I will hand over to Guillermo. Guillermo will share with you a little bit of the challenges in this market.
Thank you, Rafa. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us on this small adventure that we call co-manufacturing. Now we are very passionate about it, and we're gonna share a little bit of the different challenges that needs to be overcome during the relationship between big players in the industry and the co-manufacturers that are interested in doing business with those guys, right? Mhm. So in this the next 12 to 14 minutes, we're gonna share a little bit of um, reasons of why choose co-manufacturing as a big engine of growth in the different companies. Market estimation already Rafa covered a little bit regarding the sizes and the outlook of the industry in general. We're gonna share a little bit also about the top concern that the industry have, for the coming years, and as top 10 list of the main players that we have in the industry, right? So jump into the next one. Um, the industry is growing. That's just a fact, Co-manufacturing is every year more important, and it's important also to understand that phenomenon. What is that happening? If we take in consideration a little bit of our history so far, prior the pandemic situation that we faced, a lot of the big organizations around the world were pretty much focused on, specializing the different production lines that they have in their different plants, right? Big lines with huge capacities, absorbed a lot of fixed costs. It makes sense. It makes sense. It was, scale, and scale bring, optimization. And in that way, each one of the different production lines become every time more profitable, in terms of the business itself. But then, something started to change in terms of the different patterns of the consumer, and we ended up in the pandemic. The pandemic accelerated a little bit, not a little bit, but a lot, that trend that we were seeing in the market in terms of changing patterns, in terms of the consumers, right? In terms of the consumption, preference of consumption in the market. And then those big organizations with special lines ended up with a scenario where they don't have enough flexibility in order to attend the needs of the consumer, right? And they have two choices. They can continue making huge investment in terms of capex, or they can go through the co-manufacturing path, right? The first one is very risky, taking into consideration all the different economics also out there, the macroeconomics that we are suffering across the different countries around the world. The other one is more flexible, is more faster. And that's started, the industry to grow. Uh, Understanding that the needs of the consumer, more demanding in terms of the retailers, faster ways to put the products onto the market, and that bring a huge door in terms of opportunity for co-manufacturing to growth, across the world. Mhm. We can jump to the next one. I mean, so when we talk about the five main reasons of why these big companies, wants to doing co-manufacturing, we can summarize 5 points. The first one of them, it's cost efficiency. Contract co-manufacturers often have specialized facilities and expertises, allowing the to allowing them to produce at lower cost if we compare them against owners in-house production, these big companies. Even though with those big lines, in terms of specialization, when they look for other capabilities, they don't have enough skills in some cases to be competitive into the market. But the co-manufacturers are, because they have their own products. They probably co-manufacture similar products to other players in the industry as well. So that create also a scale in the co-manufacturers, and that cost efficiency is something that can help those big brands, big players in the industry to growth as well. The second one of them is focus on core competencies, right? By outsourcing manufacturing, the brand owner can concentrate on its core competencies. I'm a big player in the I don't know, on the biscuit industry, for example. I'm gonna focus in marketing, focus on positioning into the market. I'm gonna let things like, for example, product development, marketing, distribution, in my house, but then leaving all the production process to the expert, the co-manufacturers, the one that are focused in producing, producing, producing. Those are the ones that is going to help me, to focus on core competencies. Other than that, also it's important to mention that, some of them is looking for different technologies, different kind of SKUs, new product development to be launched into the market, and they need, access to certain type of production lines that they don't have on hands as well. So core competencies is good for the business as well. The third point is regarding flexibility. Co-manufacturing allows companies to scale the productions up or down quickly in response to the market demands without the need of significant capital investment, which is pretty much what I mentioned regarding specialization. Other than that, flexibility to change from one format to the other, from one product to the other. That kind of flexibility is the kind of thing that they lost it when they specialized the production line. So that manufacturers can bring that flexibility into the whole scenario of these big brands as well. The fourth point is access to expertise, right? Contract manufacturer often possess, as we mentioned before, specialized knowledge, technology, which may be not available in house in the brand owner, right? I saw that you know increasing tremendously in the industry on those days. I need to have access to produce certain kind of SKUs because I need that participation into the market. I need to be there, but I don't have the capabilities. Is there anybody else that can help me out to develop the products, to be more competitive into the market? Um, access to certain kind of new innovation, perhaps as well, more disruptive ideas regarding the different format, regarding the different formulation. Now we are having more functional kind of products, right? And this is a technology that is available not everywhere, but with certain manufacturers that can bring that knowledge into the house and then can help these brand owners to grow as well, not only in terms of the manufacturing operation, but also in terms of the knowledge, in terms of technology as well, access to technology as well. And the last one is the speed to market. Partnering with a manufacturer can expedite the production process, enabling faster products launches as well. MPDs. If I go through the whole process within my organization, taking consideration the different priorities that I have in hands, across the business, going through the whole protocols that I have in house. Sometimes it takes years to a product to be launched into the market. With a manufacturer, with a smaller operation, with faster protocols, very focused in terms of priorities, can speed it up to 3 times, the launch of the products into the market again against, regular timing. So speed is part, a key part of this game as well. Mhm. We can move to the next one, Camilo. There we go. So when we talk about, the different things that we need to take in consideration between the relationship with a brand owner and the co-manufacturing, there's a matrix that we have to take in consideration. Right? We'd have business impact, so those that really hit the business, that which is important and a priority to take in consideration, and also the complexity that we have in terms of this implementation. For sure, depending on the negotiation, depending on the products, we can move some of those statements to a different quadrant, but in general terms, this is the key of the game, right? Let's start with high impact in terms of the business and a very high complexity. We can take in consideration 3 points over here. And the first one is cost management. Balancing cost effectiveness and maintaining quality can be challenging. The manufacturer's production costs, as well as any potential transportation expenses, should be carefully considered. Should be a win-win. Should be good, money for the brand owner, but should be very profitable also for the co-manufacturer. So that balance, you need to do across the different operations is key in the journey. Not only to put in the blade table very competitive, a proposal, but also securing my margins in terms of my business, right? Intellectual property protection is key on this journey. Protecting intellectual property such as formulation, recipes, or proprietary processes is vital when sharing sensitive information with co-manufacturers. That is one of the main points probably of concern of brand owners. How my information is going to be handled when I share this information with a third party. Is that secrecy that I should keep in house? How to open? And for a long time, that was one of the main roadblocks along the way. The openness to share this kind of information. And nowadays, that changed a lot. There's more sharing. For sure, are different kind of protecting this information. For example, NDAs, to have a legal protections, private ecosystem to make sure that that change is going to be controlled in terms of the information. There's a lot of different tools that we can use, but this is important. This is core of the business, right? And then quality control, ensuring consistency, quality across various co-manufacturing partners can be challenges. Difference in co-manufacturing process, we have different equipments, we have quality standards that can lead to variation in the final products, and those variations impact the market. So we need to have a very controlled environment, in terms of the whole process. So that exchange between the brand owners and the co-manufacturing nowadays is quite important as well. It's not only doing an external contract for manufacturing, but taking care of that relationship as well, making sure that the quality of the products is very consistent with all my standard, making sure that the products is going to be as the way that I need it to be, right? With the right consistency, the right quality for the consumer, right? Then we have capacity constraints. If we move into big impact in terms of the business, lower complexity, we have capacity constraints. Co-manufacturers may face capacity limitation, especially during peak demand periods that can impact the brand's ability to meet customer needs on time. Risk management, risks such as supply disruptions is something that we are facing in those days, right? The challenge to have the proper raw materials, ingredients, packaging that we need for the production, product recalls, reputation, mitigate the impact of co-manufacturing process as well, you know. And then we have flexibility and responsiveness. Brand needs manufacturers that can adapt to changing market demands quickly, flexibility in terms of the schedules, production schedules, and the ability to respond to unforeseen events are essential and crucial on this journey. Then all the regulatory compliance to make sure that we have, everything in place against the industry standard. Those ones, are critical for the business, but is something that, with the proper processes and alignment, we can overcome those challenges, right? Then we have, less complexity, small impact into the business, long-term strategy, trying to understand your customer, cultural alignment, preference of your customer, align with, the value, the goals, the company culture as well. Conflict resolution, in any collaborative effort, conflicts may arise as well, Then supply chain management, co-manufacturing often involve complex supply chains, managing the flows of materials, technology integration as well, is important part of the equation, is a bigger complexity, but a small impact into the business because it's not related, in some cases with the cost of the product, the final product itself, but it's something that you have to take care as part of your journey to make sure that everything is aligned and in place. And communication and collaboration, should be also part of this journey.
That's incredible, Guillermo. Um, uh, just for the sake of time, I think we're gonna have to move Jim
Mhm.
first. Okay. So
Perfect.
so we're gonna have him presenting his part. Jim, are you ready? So we can already uh start with your presentation, and
Raphael, I'm ready.
then oh yeah, great, great. Thank you, thank you. And then, if the time allows, then we get back with Guillermo and Alejandro for for the end.
For
But
the
we are
rest of the
very excited. We are very excited to listen to Jim,
Absolutely.
and we want to make sure we have enough time for it. So
Absolutely.
probably,
Absolutely. Welcome on board, Jim.
yeah, pleasure to have you here, Jim. So, the stage is all yours.
Raphael, thank you um, for this opportunity to speak to the packaging supply chain. So I'd like to introduce myself, Jim Holland. I manage the sales and marketing at Impact Fulfillment Services. Um, and what that encompasses is um, filling co-man or our filling capabilities to our co-pack or our contract packaging, secondary packaging capabilities to our warehouse and fulfillment. And what I'm going to talk about today is from my experience, um, what I see in the market uh, and how I see us moving towards the future to ultimately what I like to call is a simplified packaging supply chain. Next slide. So I'd like to start with COVID. I think COVID taught us a lot of things about our packaging supply chain. And maybe let me just set the table here. A packaging supply chain. So, that could be co-man or filling. It could be co-pack or secondary, trade customization. It could be warehouse and fulfillment. So when I talk about packaging supply chain, I'm talking about all of those different components as it relates to the packaging supply chain. So COVID, when I step back and really think about it, um, it really it drove home, I think, what we all already knew. Prior to COVID, what we were doing was working, but I think we all knew it was a bit clunky. I'll use that terminology. And COVID, we kind of found out these supply chains are extremely fragile. Uh, they're filled with risk. They're filled with loss. They're draining companies' resources related to time. And all of this kind of culminates through they have, prior to COVID, what we learned, there's many touches involved. So really the perfect storm. I think the good news here is, at least from my perspective, and again, this is, me talking and me seeing, given I'm in the space, I live it day in and day out, from filling to secondary to warehouse and fulfillment. I see an opportunity to address, what COVID taught us. So next slide. I want to talk a little bit about a traditional packaging supply chain. And what I'm saying here is I do realize you all pretty much know this, but I think it's worth talking about. The traditional packaging supply chain, it can be 11, 12, 13-step process, from design to filling to secondary or any type of customization to warehouse and fulfillment and everything in between. All the players that, touch that supply chain in no particular order, from IT to quality to ops to engineering to design to CS to on and on and on. A lot of people are involved in a traditional packaging supply chain. A lot of moving parts. A traditional packaging supply chain, you have to coordinate multiple partners, which I just kind of talked to. Transportation costs from point to point. When you really step back, there is a lot of transportation costs. There's a lot of movement of product. Then you have high storage costs with all of that. You have to manage labor at a variety of different locations. Increased risk of defects through this clunky process, and late deliveries because you've kind of lost control a bit. All these different players delivering your supply chain. Risk of failed audits, slower speed to market because there's a variety of people involved in that supply chain. And ultimately, this all rolls up to higher total cost. So traditional packaging supply chain, kind of where we're at today, and I'm not saying everyone's supply chain is like this. I just kind of mapping out a big picture from what I can see, and where things are at today related to packaging supply chains. Next slide. So traditional. So now, I think there's an opportunity to simplify that packaging supply chain. There's an opportunity to take that 11, 12, 13-step process down to 3, 2, or 1 touch. With that, you begin to gain efficiencies. You save time and money. You've got, ultimately, I think the goal here for everyone is only one partner to contact. and that one partner has the ball as it relates to your packaging supply chain. I'll get into that in a minute here, how you would go about doing that. With a simplified process, you begin to see reduced transportation costs. You begin to see a streamlined packaging, design, and manufacturing process. You begin to reap the benefits of a much quicker speed to market, and with that comes real-time inventory. And ultimately, ultimately, there's a huge opportunity if you can simplify your supply chain of a lower total cost. Next slide. So a simplified packaging supply chain value add. Let's just kind of recap. What's in it for you guys to even think about this, to, changing your current ways of doing business? And I understand, change is difficult, change is risk, change is the unknown. However, you go down that path and you begin to think the way I'm talking to, that is a simplified packaging supply chain. What's in it for you and your company? Less touches. This is a big deal in today's environment. Frees up time for your supply chain team. That's a big deal. I think in this environment, we're all doing more with less. That's at least my observation. Everybody's got a lot of balls in the air. If you can eliminate touches as it relates to your supply chain, a big deal for you and your team and your company. A simplified packaging supply chain delivers less risk. You're de-risking that supply chain. You're dealing with fewer companies participating, including less audits. So there's less people to touch. So there's less moving parts, and the control factor becomes real. Those loose ends, and take that the right way. I'm not suggesting anybody has any loose ends with their current supply chain, packaging supply chain, but when you're dealing with multiple partners, that becomes a very difficult process to manage from my experience. Reduce costs as it relates to less freight. There's a huge opportunity here to simplify the process. And there's also a huge opportunity to eliminate multiple supplier markups. There's a lot of money to be saved there. Increase speed to market. I heard that earlier in one of the presentations. How do you benefit from, a simplified process where you improve your speed to market? Because you're de-risking that supply chain. There's less touches. You're talking to, really, I think the goal is one person or two, so they can make decisions and move on, that forecast that's going up or down. So speed to market, huge opportunity. The opportunity to improve quality through control, vast here. Big opportunity. Less moving parts, less people, thus control, quality. I've seen it in the full service that we handle today. Quality improves. Your brand, your consistency, the quality from day in and day out improves drastically. You can reduce inventory or months of supply because you have control and you're communicating, and you set parameters around that, and good partners work with you and reduce that inventory to where you need to be because they're managing it. It's not here, there, everywhere. And then ultimately, real-time inventory in this environment we live in, by eliminating touches and suppliers and dealing ultimately with 1-2, manufacturers, that real-time inventory becomes in reach. Next slide. So how do you connect the dots on a simplified packaging supply chain? I think, what I'm talking to is a true full service from co-man or co-pack to from co-man or filling to co-pack or secondary packaging, any type of customization to warehouse and fulfillment. Let's face it, in today's market, the current supply chain, the fillers want to fill, the packagers, contract packagers want to package, warehouse and fulfillment, they want to cross stock and fulfill. So the opportunity is to find a partner who has the capability to handle that whole process for you. And thus, all that value add I spoke to, all those touches, all that comes together for you in a real true full service. A full service where a filler is willing to do the secondary and warehouse and fulfillment. Not that you need all of that, but gee, just think about a filler who would do any type of trade customization where you wouldn't have to send it out to a contract packager. You have one under the same roof. Huge benefits around quality, control, cost, speed to market, inventory, all of it. You need to find that partner who has the real capability, not a third party, design to production and everything in between. All the resource there, the IT, quality, design, ops, engineering, all the resource to take it from beginning to end. Design, source, plan, produce, ship. Co-man to co-pack to warehouse and fulfillment. What I'm describing here is I think a new way of thinking. And I think what I'd like to leave you with, if you can eliminate touches in that packaging supply chain, all that value add that I spoke to, you'll begin to realize that. So I thank you for your time. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm available to talk to anyone if in fact you were interested in talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Very, very good. So we'll leave also here the website from Impact Fulfillment Services. Jim didn't do any advertisement, but we will leave here the website with you as well. So we'll hand over now to Alejandro. Ale has very, very good insights to share and to finalize the presentation. Thank you, Ale.
Okay, thank you, Rafa. Can you hear me?
Yes,
sir.
loud and clear.
Okay, good one. Okay, and thank you, Jim. I'm fully with you on the simplifying quest, Jim, so count on me. I'm very happy that we could all take a moment to simply connect. Let me start by saying that CPG market has never been more exciting, right? At least that's the way I and the rest of the team, the way we see it. So just to put things in perspective, so we have CPG market growing, okay, so far at an interesting compound annual rate. Some categories outperforming the market, snacks being an example. We have contract manufacturing also growing and looking somehow re-energized after the pandemic. We have private label being more aggressive over the last few years. We also have CPG companies replying in the shape of, if you want, DTC, direct to consumer strategies. Very interesting to see companies such as PepsiCo, Clorox, already running low risk experiments and rolling out their own DTC brands. On the NPD agenda, also we see it keeping its momentum. In some markets such as Brazil, probably focusing on fewer battles. We do see innovation leaning towards the core side of innovation rather than disruptive one. So to summarize, really, it's a very exciting time to be in this industry, right? So now regarding the slides ahead, we did not want to bombard you with tons of data, so instead we sat down, reflecting on the data, and we squeeze it so we could grab some actionable insights or opportunities, right? So we try to pack it under the shape of 5 opportunities. That's it, no more, no less. So hopefully we will be able to answer some questions that you may have. Much more important, raise some new questions, right? So let's start by getting to know each other a bit more, right? This is anonymous, right? So that's the one question. So if you could take your phones and shoot at this QR code, right? So the question is, when it comes to co-manufacturing, what is your biggest fear? Okay. Again, it's anonymous, so you could be very open with us. We will be, our team will be replying as well. So what is it really openly? Is it inflation? Is it recession? Is it the fear of not finding the right capabilities? Is it the fear to not be able to deliver what we need to deliver? I don't know. Fear to not be able to um, uh, keep traction on new technologies. Really, what's that fear or big risk, if you want, that you have? We honestly believe that right next to a fear, there's a good opportunity. So that's why we are asking this question. Also, it's also good to get to know each other by sharing our deepest fear, right? So why not? Okay. Business alignment, supply chain reliability, accomplished contracts, price. So I translate that as inflation probably. What else? To keep up with innovation, lack of alternatives. I would like to understand that a little more. Okay, thank you all. You can keep replying. So we can move forward to the next slide. Okay, so really we are just going to cover these 5 opportunities. So we can move to the next slide. Okay, so the first opportunity is really about choosing your battles wisely for future growth. So far we have shared current status of CPG industry and co-manufacturing. We have taken a look to past years, if you want. So now we are going to see, okay, so how is this evolving, right? So what's the future of it, right? So we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, not a surprise, I assume. Used to be having similar figures as well. So we do see, I mean, data shows a projected rate of growth of almost 7%, which is great for from the industry. So now let's see on the next slide, how is co-manufacturing going to evolve? Okay, and we can see same projection, but for co-manufacturing showing a very interesting 10% rate, right? So what's the what are the reasons behind this? Well, so we mentioned those. So the first one, again, increased demand for retail products resulted from the pandemic, and also brands greater focus on key differentiators and product innovation, trying to adapt to those ever-changing consumer preferences, right? So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is a good one. I was looking at this slide today, and there's a say, I don't know, it's more like a joke, that goes, just because you are paranoid, it doesn't mean they are not out to get you. Okay, so probably you know this joke or say, right? So again, jokes aside, it's interesting to see the relevance of private label launches per country, right? So obviously, when comparing North America with Latin America, it's pretty obvious that we still have a long way to go here in Latin America. But we do need to put things in perspective, right? So brands do not have to see this as a threat. In some cases, could even become an interesting tool. We do see, actually, according to the data, roughly 50% of the brands, company owning brands in the US are already playing a role with private label. We captured two cases around this. Of course, one successful and the other a failure. So probably you know them. The success story is about Classic Cola. So Classic Cola was developed by Cott Corporation for Sainsbury, right? I think it's the first or the second supermarket chain in the UK. So it was launched at 28% lower price than Coca-Cola. It was a huge success that ended up capturing 15% of the UK cola market, right? So that's one for the success story. One interesting failure story would be when Philip Morris, again, feeling private label products as a threat, announced that it was going to cut down the price of Marlboro as a reaction again to private label products. So of course this was seen by the market as a lost battle between brands and private label. End of the story, Philip Morris lost around $15 billion of its valuation, and actually the entire market lost around 50 billion, right? So it was a contagious effect, right? So again, two stories just to emphasize this. But again, we should see this as a tool, not as a threat, right? So we can go to the next one, please. Okay, so talking about choosing our battles, right? So it's interesting to see which are the categories really leading this exceptional growth, right? So of course we have sugar confectionery, and there's a lot going on that one, with these chewy textures for adults, right? Lollipops going like crazy in Latin America. Again, like old fashioned coming back. We can see sauces and seasonings. And here, I think that the trend is really about personalization. So, give me sauces and seasonings so I can tailor make my own dishes, or put a personal touch. Also specialized diets. And of course, in snacks, we see popcorn going strong. Still, maybe meat snacks declining in North America. But again, playing a lot with these limited editions with more, if we want, adventurous flavors, right? So again, very very interesting context, and there we have the fast growers. So moving to the next one, please. Okay, so second one, I try to speed up. Acting locally and thinking globally is still true. Okay, so in general, we tend to think of co-manufacturers sitting nearby. We thought it would be interesting to take a look at market data for some insights, and here is what we found. Right, so you can see right there. This is considering MPD, so and all Americas as a whole. So what's being imported and what is not imported, and what is the percentage of participation co-manufacturing, branded and private label, right? So keep that in the back of your head. We can move to the next one. Okay, so the United States. So you see again all the MPDs of this market, 22% roughly being imported, and 59% coming from private label. We can go to Brazil because the conclusion is at the very end. Brazil, of course, not at the same level of North America. Only 10% of MPDs coming from abroad. We can and co-manufacturing only participating on 4%. I'm moving to the last slide there. Okay, so here is we combine those data, right? So here we are considering everything that is co-manufacturing or private label, but coming from a co-manufacturing that is sitting abroad, right? And we do see that it's interesting that for Brazil, 9% of the MPDs launch, again, considering co-manufacturing and private label, 9% are coming from co-manufacturing sitting outside Brazil. And for USA, and this actually was a difference after the pandemic. Again, I think Jean referred to this as well. 25% is coming from co-manufacturers outside USA. So it's interesting for us to think whenever we are in great need of an external manufacturer. Okay, so could be an option to look outside your country. Okay, so move to the next one. And one last comment. Also, we do see that in many cases, internal capacities are not considered. Because we are talking. This applies for big CPGs with more than 100 manufacturing sites. So again, it's very interesting to first look in-house if you have the capability. Of course, that in many cases we work in silos and we are missing the right tools. But again, that's something that we should focus on changing. Going to the next one. Leaving money on the table is not an option. Pretty obvious, right? But we are going to provide an example, right? So again, going back to the types of contract manufacturing, we have, of course, toll, hybrid, full cost, ingredient, packaging, and let's say that conversion is all the rest that is not ingredients and packaging, right? So when it comes to the hidden cost, it doesn't matter really if it's a toll or a full cost. We should be thinking on the whole ecosystem, meaning that it's not about CPGs looking at their own numbers, right? And on the other side, co-manufacturers looking at their own numbers, right? So we should keep an eye on the whole ecosystem, meaning CPGs plus co-manufacturers, and how we keep the money on that ecosystem, okay? If not, the risk in the operation for CPGs mean just throwing the risk to the co-manufacturer side, which we know is not sustainable. And we will choose probably we would like a full cost only because we think that okay, co-manufacturer will handle the raw materials problem, right? So that's not the case. So definitely we should have a view as an ecosystem. So we will provide an example. We took capex, right? Because again, capex apply for toll, hybrid, or full cost, right? So let's think of depreciation and maintenance cost. Very quickly, we will provide some overview of this market. We can go to the next one. Sorry. Okay, so we are talking about food processing and handling that equipment. Going to the next one. It's a market that is highly concentrated, so the chances that CPGs and external manufacturers are having are sharing the same supplier are pretty high. Okay, of course that change from one category to another. Going to the next one. I think this was the previous one, and this is the previous. Okay, so again, the processing and handling industry for food has been skyrocketing, right? In terms of volume, in terms of margins, everything is going up. This is something interesting to see. Going to the next one. And understanding, okay, so when it comes to equipment, those are the current gross margins. And when it comes to after sales, meaning maintenance, spare parts, that's all. You can also see this 55 gross margin, right? So of course, I think that the question here is, do we have an opportunity, right? So if we work together with our co-manufacturers, so could we reach an agreement on how to negotiate maintenance or even CapEx, right? So again, just some food for thought. We just wanted to share some insights on this, and again, maybe generate some questions from your end. We can go to the next one. Okay, so time from brands and co-manufacturer pipelines to meet and shake hands. So what we see, going to the next one. We see, and let's take Brazil as an example. We see the idle capacity in Brazil pretty stagnant, right? So we are having for food like 71 occupation of capacity, meaning 30% idle capacity, right? Which is of course bigger than the rest of the industry. Going to the next one. Again, these are the figures of the food processing and handling industry, meaning the equipment that we use. Again, growing fast and with skyrocketing in terms of volumes and margins. Going to the next one. Again, outperforming the rest of the industry. So the question here is, would it be interesting to bring brands innovation pipeline and co-manufacturers investment pipeline together, right? So what if, other than the capacity that we have installed nowadays, if we could put those things together, right? So if I'm a co-manufacturer, so I will be able to showcase my future investment and get a sense of real interest from CPGs. From CPGs, they could guarantee that they will have actually the needed capabilities to succeed on the 421 of innovation for their brands, right? So again, just food for thought. Going to the next one. I think it's the last one. So develop co-manufacturers with an merchant acquisition mentality, and we are going to provide a pretty recent example on this one. So going to the next one. So how is the M&A agenda nowadays, right? So for CPGs, well, definitely is gaining traction again, right? So you see there 89 deals, right? 2021. And interesting enough, we see that adjacency play, meaning everything that is not on the core, right? So buying a brand of my core business, like that would be portfolio consolidation, right? So they see those capability, all those going up, right? So just keep that in mind. Going to the next one, an example. So when we talk about reaching out to co-manufacturers with an M&A mentality means, okay, so we need to have this assessment of strategic fit, potential synergies, financial performance, cultural compatibility, risk assessment, right? So if not, it may happen. Ferrara just closed a very interesting deal buying Dory. Of course, Dory was serving, they are still are serving as a co-manufacturer for peer companies such as General Mills, Nestle. So right now, both will have to find probably another external manufacturer, right? So again, it's important to keep this M&A mentality. If not, you may end up empty-handed. Okay, I think that's it from my side. I mean, Jim already covered your part, so let's just go straight to the wrap up. Do we have a wrap up?
We do. Yeah, it's coming.
It's okay. There's always a wrap up, right? So a few topics for you to keep in mind. Again, CPG projected to grow at 6.9. Co-manufacturing outperforming CPG itself with this very interesting 10% rate. On the opportunities, choose your battles, prepare for growth. Focus again on ways to optimize the whole ecosystem, not just CPG on one side, co-manufacturers on one side. So try to see, okay, so how can we keep the money within this ecosystem? think globally again, a question for us to answer if would make sense depending on the category to try to look for external manufacturers in some other country already. Again, data shows that after the pandemic, North America is importing more from Brazil manufacturers, as an example. Keep this M&A mentality. US as a mature market, and interesting to think of. Oh, so we may mirror Brazil in the as North America. I mean, so that's where Brazil is going. Okay. Okay. So just to to close this, at least from my side, we thank you all for your time today. We expect to see you next time, either on a webinar or a business round or a matchmaking event or something. Hoping that you got the answer to your questions, the question that you were bringing. Much more important than that, we think, we do hope that we were able to maybe, create more questions at your end. If that's the case, we feel happy about it. And that's it. I mean, we kindly invite you all once again to build a sort of a community out of this. We do see value on us connecting. I mean, CPGs, co-manufacturers more often. As Rafa mentioned, we do believe in a truly collaborative world, and we do not see why manufacturing should be any different. So we welcome you all to the collaborative manufacturing, and I guess we will see you soon. Okay, have a good one. Bye-bye.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thank
you
you.
for staying. Bye.
Thank you so much. You can reach us as well at any time. Thank you so much for your presence today.